everyone, and welcome to the Athlete Zone podcast, a podcast geared towards small school football players, more specifically the NAIA. The goal is to provide a platform that NAIA players can learn, connect, and gain exposure. I am your host, Kay. I'm a former D1 and D2 hurdler, and I am currently a speed performance coach. Today's episode is about small school stigmas. And now, for your co host, Andrew Fowler.
Hey, you guys. My name's Andrew Fowler. I've played NAI football the last 4 years. Before I went NAI, I played 2 years of Division II ball at Tusculum University, and then I transferred to St. Andrews University. It's the only NAI school in North Carolina. We're relatively new, so a lot of the stigmas we've seen them firsthand. We're dealing with them, and we're growing as a football program. Currently, I coach running backs at St. Andrews. It's interesting, and I've learned a little bit about the recruiting process for NAI athletes, and going through it myself and as a coach, I feel like I know a lot about it now. Next up is Jaron to introduce himself.
Hello, guys. I'm Jaron Baltazar. I went to Wayland Baptist University. I played defensive line there. I played there from 2019 to 2023. Currently, I'm a free agent right now. I was trying to get into a pro day. So whenever we get into the small school stigmas, I can talk about what happened there. But yeah, I just feel like, they don't respect our level. They think stats should be over padded at the NEI level just because it's a lower level.
Our next co host is Jason Keller Jr.
Hi, I'm Jason Keller. Spent my first year of college at a graduate program in Louisiana, won a national championship there, and then played a year of NAIA ball at Kansas Wesleyan University, Carolina, Kansas. Came back home after the year, and I'm the cornerback coach at High School in Basher, Louisiana. A lot of small school stigmas. I've seen them firsthand, whether it be recruiting or, playing, or guys, not really getting pro opportunities. Just very excited to, give information to help guys on their way.
So, does everybody here know about the news about the playoff extension?
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter.
I haven't really seen too much about it.
Only a little bit.
So, for the ones that don't know, it was decided that it's going to go from 16 teams to 20 teams beginning in 2023, this upcoming season. It will be 13 automatic qualifiers and a minimum of 7 at large teams. The conference champs will receive an automatic bid. For the at large teams, you have to be ranked top 25, which it was top 20 last season.
What do you guys think? I think it's personally pretty good, only because of the NAI level. When it was 16 teams, we see really the same 16 teams almost every year. So maybe we're going up to 20 teams. It'll give a few of these other schools that might have successful programs but are still looking to take that next step a chance.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good because in my conference, it was like everybody can beat everybody. So it was just a matter of matchups. So just because you lost a certain amount of games to somebody in your conference shouldn't mean that you shouldn't go to the playoffs. There are teams that get snubbed every year. So I feel like, there are good teams that can make a run. They just happen to lose a 1-point game to somebody. So, yeah, that's how I feel about the playoffs. It's a good thing.
Also feel it's a good thing, and to touch on what both Andrew and Jaron were saying, like Andrew said, I think it's a good thing because it'll give it to more teams that have been right there on the cusp of they've had a good season, but just and then like Jaron said, those teams that are losing by a couple points there, like I played my ball in the KCA conference, and you see 3 teams there making the playoff here. But just specifically at Kansas last season, lost 3 games by a total of 16 points and missed the playoffs. So I mean, it's a really good thing to have you can have that team that just out have a chance to get in.
I was wondering, was you going to mention the KCAC? I think there was 3 co-conference champions last season.
That's
And
great.
I think my only caveat to the 20-team playoff system is that going to be done with. I know Evangel is joining the KCAC, but
Right.
how does it work then?
Well, I've seen that they've split the KCA into divisions now, so I think the way it'll work is each a KCAC division gets audited. I think what I was seeing, the KCAC had posted themselves.
I think once it's established that there is a set conference champ, it would be better. Like it wouldn't be a question of who deserves it.
Right.
And with it being top 25 instead of top 20, that just gives more teams the opportunity.
And I think that'll be good because right now in the NAIA, you only see those top teams play each other, so you never know a true conference's depth. I know in our conference, St. Andrews, we have not been historically very good, but we have one team that's won, I believe, 6 or 7 in a row in Reinhardt University. Every year they go and play. You sometimes make it second, sometimes they go third round. They haven't been to the finals in recent years. They're a great program, but a program like last year, we had Bluefield right on their heels, and they're second in the conference. We with this 20-team playoff, a team like Bluefield, if they can sneak in, maybe they can prove that there's a little bit more to our conference than just that one team that goes every year. Because and I know I'm talking from my personal experiences. I know you guys are in different spots and you have went through different things. I don't know what you would do with 3 co-champions, how you guys worked that out last year with no at-large bids or a few at-large bids compared to 7. Bringing a bunch of kids down to a coin flip doesn't seem very fair. How do we fix that in the NAIA? Because it's not like we have a bunch of media exposure to get someone in the media to vote on it. And I mean, I'm just asking, how do they fix that? Is it just going to more teams in the playoffs?
I think it would be more teams that has to force the deciders' hands. But the system needs to be changed overall. We're going to talk about small school stigmas. The top reason that athletes don't want to play the NAIA is because of exposure. Oh, I'm not going to make it to the next level because I'm going to this school and or scouts aren't going to be checking for me. So, how have you guys experienced that, and what are your thoughts on the stigmas?
Andrew.
Jaron, you said you're kind of going through that. What do you have about it?
Yeah, I can talk about it real quick. So I had went to the FCS Bowl and the College Gridiron Showcase. Those are like not comparable to the Senior Bowl, but like lower level Senior Bowls, where it's like D2, FCS, NAIA, D3, and then you get moved up if you perform well. So I went to those type of bowl games, and there were a lot of NFL scouts, XFL scouts, USFL scouts, every league. And one thing, it just seemed like they were surprised that like NAIA players can compete with. Like they'd be surprised when I would beat someone that was a FCS player, and it's like I don't know why y'all so surprised. Like it's not nothing. It's new to me. But currently, like as recently as March, I was my agent and I were dealing with I needed 2 NFL scout recommendations to get into a pro day at a bigger school, and I couldn't get that either scout recommendation because I didn't get 20 sacks every season, and it was a lower school. I didn't dominate the NEI level, and that kind of stuff they were telling my agent, and that I never came across them on the radar. But somehow I was outperforming guys that came on y'all radar at these bowl games, so it kind of doesn't make sense. I also see how they give excuses to guys at bigger schools. Like he didn't start, but he had to. It was the system. Like when he gets to the next level, it'll translate. Okay, but what about NAIA guys? We can also translate. Some of us have a system. We also have rules. We can't just go up the field all game just because it's a lower level. Like we have to read. We have to do what coach says. So that's kind of what I have to deal with as a small school product. I don't know about you guys if y'all had anything similar.
My personal experience with it, I playing in the NFL would have been an amazing dream, but as a realist, I was a quarterback and 5'10" to 200 pounds. Playing in the NFL, a quarterback of that size is tough. But there was opportunities to go play in some small arena leagues where you don't really get paid. So I wasn't looking for that personally, but I do have a really good friend who went through a similar thing as you, where they get pro day, they got a couple pro day opportunities, but to get that is tough. And to prepare for it's even harder because some of these NAIA schools, you don't have the facilities or the equipment that these other guys have. And that's really the advantage of being in that bigger schools, because you know what they're going to do at the pro day. They're probably going to host it at your place where you're comfortable, where you can perform to your best of your abilities. And then, like, we had a guy who, probably the best receiver I ever played with, Kishard Cohen's, went to a pro day, and I wasn't there. I don't know how he did, but he didn't get what he should have gotten from that because his film and his play spoke for itself, but he had to drive 11 hours to go to a pro day.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to put on a 21-year-old kid who's trying to figure it out and give his dream a shot. But I also, when I played D2, I had a friend, who was on our team. He played corner. He plays corner for the Falcons now. At that D2 school, we even had those facilities where they knew it was coming. And his name is D. Alford. He was able to be ready, and he got a pro day that was down the road at Tennessee or one of the other Division I schools around. And when he went to the pro day, he showed out. But he had those facilities to prepare for that, and it ultimately ended up getting him a shot. Not saying the facilities did it, but in the NAIA, it's hard. Like, I know at our school, our practice field, it barely has grass in some spots. So how are you supposed to train to run a 40 in an L drill when you can't cut on your practice field?
Right.
Yeah. So, like we said, isn't there, and you always hear the constant. No matter where you go, if you're good enough, they'll. I've got a buddy. His name's Drayvon Macon, who played wide receiver and was a return specialist at Kansas Wesleyan. And this guy, he started off the JUCO route at West Los Angeles College. Came to Kansas Wesleyan with 3 eligibility, and he was a 3-time All-American running a 4.2 40, and just didn't get a shot to any bowl game or pro days, and he had to end up falling back to where now he plays in an arena league. And like Jaron said with the FCS, I actually had 2 of my teammates from Kansas Wesleyan.
I remember.
Trace Ott and one of my other teammates, they both went to the FCS, and they were beating guys out, but just didn't get the opportunity because of being NAIA. Now they've had to, like I said, they've had to fall back and look at other options. Where mate Jake, he is playing in the indoor football league, and Trace actually he went to coach route, and he's now a high school line. So I just feel like with more exposure, like we have at the NAIA level guys, guys that are right up there with FBS and FCS Division I players, but just because of the stigma that this guy went to an NAIA, his talent's not there, it's not the case, and it just we've got to figure out a way to where, NFL and CFL coaches to say, like, these guys are here and they're ready.
I agree. I think ultimately it has to start with the players. Should the coaches help? I believe so. But as a coach, you only have so much time to do everything. It's not like you have a dedicated person for to be a pro liaison. So they don't really have the time to do it. So it's on the athlete. But that's why I created the Twitter page to start the process of getting exposure. It only takes one viral moment for somebody to get an opportunity. It's a receiver. His name is Gerald. He plays for Graceland. He was dominating this past season, and he went to a destroying
Oh,
1-on-one. Of course, they recorded it, and quarterback plug on TikTok made a video about him saying why isn't he known or why isn't he playing on a different level, and it has millions of views. And it's stuff like that that makes the world take notice. So I think with the facilities too, I understand what you're saying. I ran D1 and D2, and the difference is insane as far as facilities. And then I know people who played in the NAIA and see the jump from D2 to NAIA. It's definitely a difference. I think what would help this situation is having an NAIA pro day. And it would take quite a bit of money, quite a bit of work, but it's possible. And you bring everybody down 2 or 3 days before, have a couple performance coaches, speed and agility, and train on the 40, train on the shuttle times and stuff like that. And that'll maybe help as far as getting some of the times down. Of course, you can't, bring stuff down majorly in 3 days, but you can tweak a start, and that can take point 0.2, 0.3 seconds off, and that'll work to help too. Ultimately, I'm a person that thinks film is what should matter, not everything else. But it's the world we live in right now.
To go off like what you're saying with exposure and to kind of tie it kind of together. When we go to the 20-team playoffs, you'll see some of these NAIA schools that in the past, if you lost 2 games, it would cost you a playoff spot. Going to the 20-team playoff, maybe some of these NAIA schools can go play bigger schools. I know in my school, I mean, we're known for getting beat by Presbyterian, giving up 100 points or whatever crazy stuff. But we play a Division I school every year. We played Davidson last year. And it's not, you're playing FCS schools, you're not going to play Bama's and stuff on the SEC network, but you're getting on ESPN3 to where maybe there's somebody at that other school they're looking at that you can get seen beating that person or going against that person for a couple reps. Mm-hmm. And I think going to this expanded playoff system, we can allow some of the schools to do that a little bit more often. And
I think schools need to utilize YouTube more. Because it's certain schools I can type it in, I can't find anything. Like I might can find a game, but as far as who the program is, people need to see that. You have kids coming in, transfers coming in, and they don't know anything about the school besides what the coach tells them. So, especially with the transfer portal, it's going to be more transfers, D1, D2 coming in. I'm telling you, it's going to, I give it a year. And that's probably what's going to make scouts go and look at NAIA. As far as the pro days, it's needed. I did a poll on it 6 months ago, and people gave their ideas of how it will work. And it was pretty good ideas. It's just going to take time. I guess my question for y'all is, how long do you think it would be before the NAIA is considered, like as far as their players making it out?
I mean, with all these new leagues going on, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity, but then again, it just creates more inflation because all these guys that were third strings and fourth strings at like a school like Bama or Clemson, well, they'll get the nod over a NAIA guy. And also, I feel like the problem is with most NAIA schools, we don't stay over the summer. We don't have like personal meal plans like at a bigger school. So that's kind of the gap between, higher level like D2, D1. They work out the whole summer all day. They get their meal plans, they get everything personalized to them, and then they come instead of us. We just come in on what August, first week of August after the whole summer, and sometimes there's guys like school. Their school isn't completely covered, so they got to get jobs. They don't get to dedicate their whole life to just playing ball. But nah, yeah, with the new leagues going on, I feel like NAIA players can shine now if we ever get that opportunity to go against high competition.
Yeah, I agree. I think the new leagues are awesome, and I think the fact that really anyone can go out there and try out for one of those leagues, they can pay their fee and they can go to the tryout in DC or Atlanta just to give it a shot. And maybe there's some guys that can train and get ready for that. That'd be awesome. It's just like you said, more opportunities, but like also you're gonna have to go out there and you can't with an NAIA guy, you can't have a bad day. You miss a couple passes or don't get beat a couple blocks. They're just gonna go take that fourth or fifth string guy from a Division I school and just roll with it, give him his shot. And that's something that I, that's tough to defeat until we do get more exposure. You do get films out there and get everyone taken care of.
Right. No, I agree with that. I mean, like y'all said, with all the league does create a opportunity, but as we said earlier, it's kind of on the athlete to understand where they're coming from. That they have to have that level of confidence that even if they are in a situation where they don't have the state of the art training, they've got to know that I've got to do what I can with what I have to gain my opportunities. And I think that with a little bit more funding, because I think that's what it all really boils down to, funding. Because these big D1 schools like your Clemson, Alabamas, they've got all the boosters and these TV contracts with like CBS and games. They've got the funding to get those programs and setups. So I think if we go out and do a lot, do things to get funding to an program, I think we can in the next maybe 5-10 years have a setup where NAI athletes have those facilities and those opportunities to train for those new leagues that are coming out.
I agree. About opportunities, I know you're still looking, Jaren. Uh, Euro players going overseas might be beneficial.
Yeah,
I mean, you would make more than indoor does. You're traveling, your housing is paid for, stuff like that. It might be worth it to do. I think it's europlayers.com and you get a free profile. And then you get to see who's online, the teams, and you can contact the different teams. But that's another way. I believe it's the GFL the EFL, and the X League, which is, Japan, China.
To be honest, I haven't heard about half those leagues, so
Really?
I imagine I'm not the only one. So
Yeah, I think leagues are very beneficial because I actually played with a guy whenever I was at Kansas Wesleyan. His name is um I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Devontae Gabriel, multi-time All-American at Kansas Wesleyan, and just didn't really get any opportunities. And now he is in the GFL, playing for a team over there. And I mean, he's really dominating, doing his thing. Um, I've had a guy that he helped us out for a little bit. He played quarterback at Army West Point before he transferred to Kansas Wesleyan, and he just finished his season overseas. Um, I had a guy that I trained with for a little bit. He actually worked out and did pro days with a NFL teams. He just finished playing in the LFA, which is a professional league in Mexico. So I
Mm,
mean, overseas, it's definitely on the rise, and like Andrew, not too many people do know about those leagues, but I mean, for the guys that do, the people that do, we've got to expose those leagues more, and the guys that play have to expose those leagues more to give exposure and opportunities to the AI athletes that like we said, just they go to these bowl games, but they get overlooked by that second or third string guy from big name pro. Still giving them an opportunity to do what they love while tapping into that that self sense and being able to travel and see new places and while do what you love and play football, take a mental health aspect and realize, this is an opportunity to see something new and do something new.
Yes. So if you're a free agent, go to Europlayers.com, make an account if you want to go play overseas. There's the SFL, the USFL, the NAL, the IFL, and the IFL has now partnered with the XFL. So they're going to funnel players from the Indoor Football League to the XFL. And some of the XFL scouts will be at IFL trials. So that's an avenue as well. And if you're interested in the XFL tryouts, there is one in St. Louis, July 7th, and it's at a NAIA, Missouri Baptist. I want to thank everybody for joining us today on this episode.